were spies. Finally told him, okay, he trusted him. He said, I'm a general in the Latvian army. They want me to forget that I'm a general. So he smuggled into the camp a little piece of his general's uniform. He got up in the middle of the night, which in a labor camp is a big sacrifice, marched back and forth a few seconds. I'm a general. Everyone has to know they're a private and a general. They're both. You know, you have stars. Stars have big configurations. There's a galaxy, the Big Dipper. It's a lot of stars together make the... But then there's a star called Alpha Centauri, which is the brightest star in the Centauri galaxy. It has a name. Every healthy person has these two identities, and every community has these two identities. People are individuals, and they're also part of the bigger picture. The Jewish people were built like that. We had tribes, separate tribes, that were different. Yeah? And they came together 3 times a year in Jerusalem because we're all so one. A community leader needs to know that. Yeah? Okay? Number 4. Where I was, where I am, and where I need to go. A leader needs to know, he has to look at his map. He knows he wants to go somewhere. It does not have to be set in stone. But más o menos, he has to know where he wants to go. Because if the leader doesn't know where he wants to go, so then nobody knows where they want to go. But that depends on where was I, or in your situation, who am I dealing with? Where are they coming from? Okay? I came to Atlanta, Georgia, and I told them that in my house, Coke is called poison. So I said, in Atlanta, you can't say that. In Memphis, Tennessee, I said something negative about Elvis Presley. And the person who brought me in said, not Memphis. Not Memphis. Yeah? So you have to know where people are coming from, where they're coming from. I gave a talk now in Los Angeles about how we know God loves us. And then I realized, before I walked into the room, that I'm not qualified to talk about it. Because Baruch Hashem, what's wrong in my life? Only someone who went through difficulties, he can talk to how we know God loves him. I spent 15 minutes. I can't talk. I was very, very fortunate that I did that. Because there was someone who was listening to me very intently, the whole talk. He was a graduate of Auschwitz. But know where people are coming from. Yeah? You tell someone who went through Auschwitz, everything is for the good. What? What are you talking about? And you have to know where they are. And you also need to know where they want to go. Where you want them to go. But since we're separate, you can't force people to do things. Okay? Now, this is very important. Number 5. You see, it has a lot of little parts to it. This is very important. We have over here agua. Yeah? What helps this agua stay in one place? There's a bottle that's holding it. Now, the trip from here to here is a dangerous trip. Because right now, there's no bonding. So we have gravity. Now, how about this? It maintains itself. It doesn't need anything to hold it up. Everything in the world, to stay in one place, to be stable, needs either internal bonding or external pressure. Yitzhak Rabin was right when he said, you can't have a country that only exists if there's war. It doesn't work. There's the most successful organization in history, was the Roman Empire. It didn't work. Eventually you lose. And he did make great efforts to make peace. It's interesting in history that the soldiers are the ones who want to make peace. Because they know what war is like. Okay? And he was a very good soldier. But there's a problem. If the country doesn't have internal bonding and you make peace, so then there's no country. Because if you see Israel, and I saw the map of the Middle East based on religion. Yeah? So it's all black, except a little sliver of blue. Islam and Judaism. I used to say that Yasser Arafat, he was an idiot. He should have made peace and sent 30,000 girls to Israel. He would wipe out the country and finish it. One generation. Because there's peace now. What's the problem? Yeah? 30,000 girls. Yeah? Young, pretty girls. Done. Yeah? Thank God he was, an idiot. Yeah? And he wouldn't make peace. So how are we keeping themselves together? Because there's outside pressure. I am proud to live in Israel. That should be clear. Very clear. Okay? Where do we get along best? All Israelis in foreign airports. Why? Because then we have decided to focus on what brings us together, instead of focusing on what separates us. Okay? You're a community leader. You have to have internal bonding. You know why? Because you live in a big world. You live in a non-Jewish world. You live in a materialistic world. You live in a world which is seductive. Okay? So you have to know that you cannot live without internal bonding. Now, this idea I heard from my Rebbe, my teacher. It says, the halacha is that we don't let 3 days go by without reading the Torah. Why? Because 3 days after the splitting of the Red Sea, so the Jewish people started to fall apart. So my teacher asked, but they were in Egypt for 210 years. So you should have the Torah reading every 210 years in 2 days. He says, no, for 210 years they had Pharaoh. They had external pressure. Stamped on their identity cards, Juden. So you can keep Jews. I think it was Bialik that said, anti-Semitism is like an oxygen tank to keep the patient healthy until he gets better. Or it's the bad smell that the gas companies put into natural gas in order to stay away from it, because it has no smell. So anti-Semitism puts a bad smell into the prevalent culture to keep us away, but that's not healthy. You have to have internal bonding. And I'll give you an example. I was here the last time I was here. The Mexican flu broke out. I was in the airport. Everyone was walking out with masks. I got back to Israel. I asked Dr. Schwab, who's a genius, a walking encyclopedia in medicine. I asked him, should I take the flu shot? When you know a lot, there's always two sides. He says to me, yes, no, but you, Rabbi Orloweck, you need to sleep more. Because when you sleep, the body's resistance to invasion of bacteria goes up. You build it, so that's my example of internal bonding. You have to produce a healthy person. A person who has self-esteem, who's proud of their Jewish identity. Yeah? When someone says to them, dirty Jew, they don't go home and take a shower. Do you understand? So your leaders, you have to have internal bonding. It's not going to work. Now, I'm the head of a high school, a girls' high school in Tel Aviv. It's one of the side things I do. And in this school, there's the highest standards of education you can get in the whole country. When these girls are finished, they can take and go to any university if they're graduate. Yeah? They have all the requirements. But because they have the opportunity to fulfill their life wishes, but they're going to be exposed to negative environments. They have to walk around with self-knowledge and self-esteem. We have reeds sitting under an ocean of air. How come we're not pancakes? Because we have pressure inside pushing back. So the function of a leader is to give that internal bonding. You know, all parents want their children to outlive them. You know what that means? My child is going to be on this planet without me. I want him to be able to go by himself. Mayim Chayim in Hebrew. What's Chayim? So it's water, it's well water, spring water, renews itself. It goes on its own. It's called Mayim Chayim. And it's only from internal bonding. Okay? So that's what it said. Look at the 5a. Only intrinsic things are permanent. External things come and go. Well, it depends where you are, then it's not you. For instance, the Mishnah says, who's wealthy, who's happy with his lot? Why doesn't it just say mucho dinero? The answer is, well, what's mucho dinero? It depends where you are. Then it's not me, it's you. So anything that's extrinsic is not you. Internal bonding. What are the examples of internal bonding? Community identity. What do we stand for? Torah study. Israel, youth activities. Here in Israel, building Jewish identity. But it has to be clear, the only thing that has over the centuries been stable in maintaining Jewish identity is study of Torah. Okay? I have no agenda. Okay? You're very nice to me. I'm going home anyway. Okay? But the study of Torah, sincerely, I'm not talking about how many hours a day. Every person has a different life. But the sincere study of Torah builds a person's internal identity. No other, nothing else that was tried worked. Okay? So, chesed within the community. You know, a community is also like a home. It's like a home. What is the function of a home? A home is supposed to build a person. A person, basically, a healthy person, is a giver. Because we are created, B'Tselem Elokim, we're created in the image of God. God's a giver. In a home, people are taught to give, to help. Well, and the community is also like that. And I say, you know, sometimes, depending on the ages, you know, sometimes you can have even children wrapping packages for poor people for Erev Shabbat. That, you know, maybe I don't, yeah, but if there's a tzedakah project, can they wrap packages, deliver packages to homes? I don't believe it's a good idea for them to collect money. It's not a good idea. But to give. Sometimes you go to an old age home and sing or tell a story, just to cheer someone up. Children, as they get older, the functions are different, yeah? But they need to learn as part of a community that we give. We don't just take. It's very easy as a leader to just give and give and give and give. And then you raise a brat. You know what that word means?
Yes.
Okay? A spoiled child. The child has to learn to give back. For his sake, not for my sake. So, even if it's praying for sick people, something. Yeah? In my opinion, you have to... I met with the teacher's principal today. They gave me a picture of a beautiful school. Each one explained who they were and what they were doing. But I had one question. Children because we have a double curriculum, Hebrew and Spanish, there are children that they can't do it. Or it's much harder for them. Are you taking that into consideration? Because when they're starting to speak another language, which is the best time to start to speak a language is young. But there might be children who can't handle it. And she told me, yes, we have people who are really on top of things, and the school culture is that this is technical. This is not something's wrong with you, we'll help you. So it's very good. Yeah? I was in Amsterdam, and I told them they have to send someone to Israel to learn how to teach and help learning disabled children who are having trouble with Hebrew. Because there's no one in Amsterdam who was able to do it. This is 10 years ago. So, helping people who need counseling and can't afford counseling, whether it's emotional counseling or marriage counseling. Counseling is not an embarrassment. It's just like it's not an embarrassment to go to a dentist, so it's not embarrassing to go to a counselor also. Okay? In other words, you have testing of children. So many kids, I see this, kids who weren't tested until they were 5 years old. I'm sorry, in 5th grade. And they were, he'll grow out of it, but he doesn't grow out of it. You can over-test also. Okay, it's true. But to make sure that the community has preventative measures, instead of having to deal with people who are unhappy or dissatisfied as teenagers, so try and figure out where are the problems starting and deal with them then. Forget about that, it's cheaper. And it is cheaper. Yeah? Staying healthy is cheaper than getting better. All right? So, all kinds of counseling, all kinds of prevention measures, evaluation of young children. These are things which I believe that you have to take in hand, and only a community can do it. Individuals, either parents aren't responsible enough, or they deny. Many parents, my child's okay, as if there's something wrong with them if their child has a problem, which is ridiculous. Or they don't have money for it. So, a community is a place where a person can turn to for help for things that often they can't afford or they don't know how to access. Yeah? And the community knows people who are good at evaluating different things, of different kinds of help. Okay? Now, if you have questions, good. If not, look, my first name is Rabbi. I can keep talking.
I have a question about that. How do you work with the selfish interest of a person when you work on a community? How do you deal with those issues?
How do you deal with the selfish person?
Yes.
Okay. So, whenever you have a problem, you have to ask why. Okay? Now the truth is, all children are born selfish. One of my definitions of a child is someone who's willing to wake up a whole continent if he has a tickle in his throat. He'll wake everybody up, he doesn't care. So, but as a child, as a person matures, he has to be taught not to be selfish. So the selfish people that you've met were not taught not to be selfish. Okay? So, you have to help them out of their problem. But that's and that's why your question is so good, the worst problems are with people who don't realize they have a problem. It's just like the worst diseases, Hashem should protect us, are sin dolor. If there's no pain, there's no communication. Okay?